Title: Virtual Learning Success Stories with Students Who Are Deafblind.
Hi, my name is Amy Trollop, and I am the teacher of DeafBlind at Phoenix Day School for the Deaf in Phoenix, Arizona.
Hi, I'm Kathee Frings. I'm an intervener at Phoenix Day School for the Deaf in Phoenix, Arizona.
A woman signs in an inset.
Today, Kathee and I want to share with you a lesson that we've been working on with one of our students. Our student is a middle school life skills student who has Charge syndrome. He has a cochlear implant in the left ear, which allows him access to environmental sounds. His right side is unaided, and he has no hearing on the right side. For his vision, he has no vision in the left eye and right eye colobomas. Our student has made an incredible amount of progress over the years, and especially so since he began working with Kathee as his intervener. And so recently we have been working on a lesson that allows him to learn how to use a CCTV, a Visio book specifically, in the classroom for near and distance viewing tasks. We started when we were in person, kind of introducing the Visio book to our student by just looking at things that were motivating to him. And he really enjoys working with colors, and color words are something that he knows well. And so we were working on him doing distance spotting. And when we were in person, we would show him a picture of an object, and then he would access that through the distance camera. And then we were working on his visual skills of shifting his gaze to write the color word and maybe what the object was onto a piece of tricolored adapted paper. So that was in his near space. And once we were transitioned into the virtual learning phase, we realized that that was not going to work anymore. So we had to get creative, and we started working with a video online. So it's through YouTube, and it's by this wonderful woman named Alyssa D'Souza, and she has a CVI channel on YouTube. If you go into the search box and type CVI books, her account will be one of the first ones to pop up. And so today, Kathee and I are going to show you the color rainbow video that we've been using. We're going to show you the amazing materials that Kathee created for us to use along with this, and give you a little summary of what our lesson looks like when we facilitate it with our student. So now I'm going to screen share.
A video plays. On a black background, white text with a red outline. Colors.
And Kathee and I will show you how we help support by providing ASL signs during the video as we play and watch the video.
Colors.
Amy signs. A red line forms an arch. Kathee signs. An orange arch stretches just below the red arch. Underneath it, a yellow arch. A green arch forms under the yellow arch. Both women sign. Then a blue arch below the green. Finally, a purple arch below the blue. The rainbow of arches shift back and forth. The background now completely black. The women sign. A red apple. A red baseball cap. The women touch the top of their heads. A red heart. The apple and heart move up and away, then the cap drops down and away. An orange trumpet. An orange fish. An orange lobster. All three move away to the right. a yellow camel, a yellow duck, a yellow bell. All three move away to the left. A green tree, a green dinosaur, a green alligator. All three move away to the right. Blue circles with black designs, a blue surfer, a blue star rotates. All three drop down and away. The video stops.
Now I paused here because we had something interesting happen and learned something that both Kathee and I feel is valuable to acknowledge. Kathee, would you mind sharing?
The middle picture, the one we signed boy, at first when this came up, we were signing surfer. And as soon as it popped up, the student himself signed boy, blue boy. And immediately Amy and I both switched to boy because surfer wasn't one of his vocabulary words. And the word that we were looking for was blue. He signed blue. Allowing him to change that one thing to boy because he recognized it as boy was very good for him to be able to be in control almost of that part of the lesson when it was something we could easily give up control of. It wasn't something that we needed to say, oh no, that's a surfer. There was no point in that. So it was allowing it to be child-led, and he decided that vocabulary word rather than us forcing it to be surfer when he's already deemed it to be boy. So it was something really simple, but really easy to do. And it was kind of funny because we both just switched it like nothing, like, okay, boy. It was awesome.
Yeah, thank you, Kathee. And we also felt it was a really great example of him advocating.
Yes.
It was an excellent example of seeing those self-advocacy skills come to. So
yeah,
we thought that was important to share.
The video plays again. Amy signs. A purple car. Both women sign as the car moves forward, comes to a stop, then moves in reverse and stops again. A purple dress. A bunch of purple grapes and leaf. All three move away to the right. The rainbow of arches returns, one color at a time. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue and purple. The rainbow shifts back and forth. The video stops.
So that's about a 3.5-minute video that we use in our lesson. And now I'm going to have Kathee show you the amazing materials that she created to go along with it and give you a little bit of information as to how we facilitate the use of these materials in our lesson.
Text, what color do you see?
Let's go back to the first page. All right. This is the first page we started with that I created because it was very basic. What color do you see? And he only wrote the color, whatever color it was, red or whatever here.
Lines and pictures.
And we were hoping to do it from memory, and he was definitely allowed to ask what letter was next. However, if you'll notice on these tiny little crayons right here, the color words are written there. When I first made this, I had like, oh, he can't see that, he can. He could figure it out, and he was very, 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 very clever and used his resources and figured out that he could read those. And I always wondered why there was no E at the end of blue, because it's cut off right here and you can't see the E. When I figured out that he was copying those, I changed that. I thought it was very clever of him to use that.
More lines.
Once he got this down, though, we went to this one. And we didn't go to this one. This is all 6 colors until he was ready to visually be able to do this, because this is definitely harder. You'll notice I took the color names off for our clever little boy. We were impressed, but then we weren't.
We were, and he got through a couple of lessons before we realized it.
Yeah.
So.
I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks that he got
Yeah.
through. Yeah. And we were so proud, and then we were proud because he found it.
Yeah, definitely.
I see ya.
We were so proud of him for using his resources wisely.
Exactly. Now we use this one, and there's 2 sheets of this one, so it's all 6 colors. And he writes the 2 words now: red hat, or orange. What does he write? Orange
fish.
I'm like, which one does he write?
Yeah, he has favorites in each section.
He does, and he'll choose it. He gets to choose it, and he has to sign which one he's telling us he's writing.
Right, and this really became an extension of the activities when we realized that because virtual learning was challenging and our student experiences high levels of visual fatigue, that we needed to keep the variables of the lesson the same and just continue to add on. So this was an extension of the activity that we were able to create, and that he's been incredibly successful with and gained a lot of other skills in the facilitation.
It guaranteed success for something he already knew. He already knew the colors. I see the color he already knew. Adding the second word was something to add on to the activity, but it was not so overwhelming that it fatigued him or made him upset. We used the OT lines. OT provided this paper. So it has the green start line, the red stop line. OT uses a yellow line in the middle, and that never works for my students. So I always ask them to change that to gray. They happily obliged. And so now we use this for all of his written work. We also added the space so that he knows there's a space between the words. That's also an OT goal that we're working on, so that he can write it properly or learn to write it properly. And it just kind of overlaps the OT and the vision and the classroom, because we're learning to write sentences. So then he gets the noun, the verb, and then he has to add the other part, which is writing. And so he gets more than one lesson in the lesson. So that way it kind of overlaps everything and still allows him to have success in working with other people.
Yeah, there's a lot of repetition in the skills that we're doing that's being carried over into the classroom and in his with his other related services. He enjoys the activity. You know, we've been able to use this video for an extended period of time because of the extensions that we've made, and as I mentioned, just kind of adding on to the activity. We are fortunate that we are able to send home paper copies. Kathee creates these beautiful weekly packets and they get delivered to his home. We know that not all of you have that ability, and so we wanted to show you that if your student was only able to use the annotate, or if your student was able, or if you as the person giving the instructions or modeling can use annotate feature, you can write on these. So, all right, Kathee, how about red hat?
Writes the word red.
So there can be a visual model created.
Hat.
And if their student's using an iPad, they can actually use a stylus on the iPad itself to write this directly on the lines.
Yeah, so ROT had given some of our students stylus, and that was really helpful for our students in working on some writing skills. So
other than that, you have to get really good at practicing your mouse writing.
Yeah, it's more challenging than it appears, right?
It's difficult. It's very, very difficult.
So that's our lesson. Kathee and I want to thank you all for allowing us to share this with you today, and we hope that it brings value.
Yep. Hope it helps.
The two women waved goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Stay safe. Take care.